What's up, everybody? It's Nine Johnson here. This is the first episode of Sex Ed 9.0, and the topic is why puberty made life hard as fuck. And basically, puberty made life hard as fuck because it's literally the biggest change any human being experiences in their lifetime, and it's just glanced over and generalized as if the moment you hit puberty, you get taller, you grow pubic hair, and girls grow breasts and start periods, and that's it. And life goes on as usual. But I'm here to tell you that is not the case. As a boy, we get a rush of testosterone that literally changes our whole experiential reality. Like, our voices get deeper, our appearance changes, we get taller, we start to grow facial hair. Our muscle mass grows ridiculously. I remember the year I hit puberty. All of a sudden, I was the fastest person in my school, the fastest person in my city, and I was strong enough to wrestle and pin my brother down that was 5 years older than me and a football player. So our reality shifts radically. I mean, shit, I can keep going. Our interests change. Our motivations change. Our thought process changes. Our perceptions change. Before I hit puberty, I was all about comic books, cartoons, and art. Playing basketball with my boys. After I hit puberty, I was all about my girlfriend, getting a girlfriend, why this girl doesn't like me, I got a crush on this person, I got a crush on that person, and pornography, pornography, pornography. Need I say more? Also, my mood changed. I was more irritable. I was more stressed. I was more emotionally unstable. I was depressed a lot. My smell changed. All of a sudden, sweat stinks. That was crazy. That was like one of the most embarrassing things. I was at this church camp, and then the facilitator pulled me aside, and he was like, yo, you stink. You know, you probably hit puberty and you need to go home and ask your mom to get you some deodorant. That was one of the most traumatizing experiences of my life because one, I didn't even know this dude, and two, he basically sent me home because I was musty. And I didn't even know why. I didn't even know what happened. That shit was so embarrassing. My whole life, I always waited for an experience of change, like a rite of passage or a shift into manhood. Like even in my 30s, even in my early 30s, I was still like, so when is this change, supposed to happen? Like, when do I know that I'm an adult? And crazy enough, it turns out that that shift happens when we're 14, like 13, 14, 15. Like, puberty is our biological rite of passage. Puberty is when we become biological adults. We may not be educated and or experientially, mature enough to go off on our own, even though some have. But that is the time when our experience, like our whole perceptual experience, the experience in our body, all of it changes all at once. And unfortunately, adults either protect us from our sexuality and the idea, or they think they're protecting us from our sexuality and the idea of sex, or they're too uncomfortable to talk about sex openly with a minor. And at the end of the day, I was sheltered from the fact that I was biologically a man. There's an old saying, the way that we start affects the way that we finish. And puberty is basically the great biological shift from childhood to biological adulthood. Not being made aware of that sets us back psychologically. It's mentally regressive because we never step into the responsibility of knowing our bodies and differentiating them from our sexuality. From a male perspective, these type of things happen when boys aren't educated about their sexuality and about their bodies and the difference of the two, leading us to fear being touched by people of the same gender, leading us to fear being touched by family members, being hugged by family members, leading us to fear hugging children that are younger than us, because we never initially explore the new hormones that are influencing our minds, motivations, and rapid growth and physical transformations, our whole reality is confused. Because I was sheltered from learning about puberty as it relates to my sexuality, I was totally confused about my manhood. I was totally confused about my responsibility or understanding how to relate to girls and women. I experienced social anxiety about my body. I experienced personal anxiety about my body. I was scared to have sex. I was confused as to why to have sex, what was appropriate about talking about sex. Like, I was basically mute and waited for, people to give me, the opportunity. And because of that, I ended up doing some really stupid shit. And at the end of the day, falling victim to being sexually molested. The fact that human beings are afraid to talk about sex, from one adult to the other, let alone from a parent to their child, is insane. Because everything that we are came from sex. We were born in a sexual organ. We came out of a sexual organ. We all have the same sexual organs. We've all seen the same sexual organs. Yet when it comes time to be straightforward and communicate about sexuality, we experience anxiety and fear, and so we don't say anything. And we end up in compromising situations. I know for a fact if I was educated about my sexuality, I would have known when to say no. I would have known what was right and what wasn't right. I made a whole lot of mistakes in this lifetime, and those mistakes could have easily been avoided if I was educated about what was sex, what wasn't sex, what was healthy, what was appropriate, and what wasn't. At the end of the day, my purpose for this channel is to start a conversation about our shared experience as sexual beings, our shared experience as human beings, and the differentiation between the two. Now I know that my body isn't a sexual object. And now I know that sex isn't evil. I don't need to be embarrassed about sex. I don't need to be embarrassed about talking about sex. I don't need to be embarrassed about anything in life, let alone my sexual reality, let alone my body. And I know that as this series grows, it will help other people, young and older, think creatively, think critically, think intelligently about their relationship with their bodies, about their relationship with their gender, and about their relationship with their sexuality, or about their relationship to sex itself. Everything that we are came from sex. Sex is a creative act. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And hopefully, as we talk about these experiences, we'll grow out of those anxieties, we'll grow out of those fears, and we'll be able to navigate our sexual experiences intelligently to where we can communicate our boundaries and also enjoy ourselves in the dark and in the light. No more body shame. No more embarrassment about talking about sex to the point where we say yes to things that we want to say no to, and we say no to things that we actually want to say yes to. All right. So that is this episode. Thank you for sticking it through with me. These videos will get better as I progress. This is video number 1. I'm very happy, humbled, and I appreciate everyone who watched. I appreciate everyone who commented. My name is Don Johnson. I do this for us as a community because it is our responsibility to be the change that we want to see in the world. And right now, the changes that I want to see in the world, or one of the changes that I want to see in the world, is people being empowered and being able to experience life in confidence and with a peace of mind and respect for other people. And all of that starts with radical self-love. Deuces.